Annual inflation for food and non-alcoholic beverages eased to 13.9% in April from 14% in March. The Agricultural Business Chamber says food inflation will remain elevated for a while. It expects load shedding to continue to influence prices for the next few months. Prices of meat, oils and fats as well as fruit have softened slightly. But the bread and cereals price index as well as the milk and eggs and cheese product group and vegetables have increased during the period.
Products pushing the rate higher include onions up 52.8%, carrots up 29.8% and potatoes 24.4%. Coffee lovers like me are feeling the pinch too. Instant coffee prices rose by 14.8% and ground coffee or beans by 17.8%. Coffee is part of the non-alcoholic beverages index, which increased by 10.4% in the year to April, the highest rate since January 2010. Oils and fats inflation slowed for an 8th consecutive month, tumbling from 16% in March to 9.9% in April. The last time this rate was in single-digit territory was November 2020. The transport index recorded its 9th successive month of disinflation in April, softening to 7.6%. This was mainly due to the annual rate for fuel easing to 5%, the lowest reading since March 2021.
Food prices have actually ticked down in the month of April, obviously tracking, global, trend as we have actually seen, that food prices have actually come down significantly. And, the other element to it, it's actually the base effects, the easing base effects, that are actually kicking in now. They are also contributing to a lower inflation in the country. Also, if you remember, international Brent crude prices sometime last year, they were around, $130 US per barrel. Now they are actually below $80 US per barrel. That also explains why inflation has been, coming down. Although, core inflation remained quite sticky at 5.3%, obviously, as we have actually seen, services prices have actually started to actually increase significantly. I think that's the other element where the SAB is more likely going to be actually worried about when they actually make their decision about interest rates tomorrow.
Rising inflation has led to successive interest rate hikes, squeezing consumers harder. South Africa has seen 9 interest rate increases since November 2021. In March, the central bank increased the repo rate by 50 basis points to 7.75%. It is widely anticipated that the 10th interest rate hike of another 50 basis points is on the cards on Thursday. This is also as a result of persistent rolling blackouts and other operating costs that businesses are forced to absorb.
At the last MPC meeting, they really increased the inflation expectation towards the end of this year compared to what they had on the table at the beginning of this year. And on that basis, they decided to have the 50 bips instead of the 25 bips. Since then, what happened was that inflation actually moved higher, the actual print, excluding today where we dipped a little bit. And the rand had this huge impact, which I didn't expect at the last MPC meeting. So if they need to put all of that into the current thinking framework, then, there's no way that the inflation numbers that they had for the end of this year can actually be lower. And on that basis, I think it will be very difficult to actually only do 25 basis points, given the deterioration in the inflation factors. And that's why we are thinking 50 bips is quite likely.
Transport recorded its 9th successive month of disinflation in April due to easing fuel. Core inflation, which excludes food and non-alcoholic beverages and fuel and energy, also remains at higher levels at 5.3%. Diabo Seto, SABC News, Johannesburg.